Here we go. Pat from The Decline, thanks for coming in, man.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Too easy. Troubling times, but what's the band up to now?
Well, so I'm doing a lot of demoing. Just trying to do lots of different stuff. So I do demos of Decline songs.
Yeah, and so you got two different things going on.
Yeah, and demos of solo songs, and also like I'm trying to do like a 30-second song project with The Decline where I don't know what we'll do with it, but just like a really big amount of really short songs. So I've been trying to do some of those. And
that's cool.
I joined a songwriting club as well with a bunch of guys and girls.
Yeah, right.
We just have a Facebook chat, and every week we have to write a song, and like it'll be a different genre and a different subject.
How proactive you are is you're like the polar opposite of me, like chore to write a song, whereas you're going out trying to find new ways to write songs. I like that.
Well, this week I did like a country song about something I was scared of when I was a kid. That was the like assignment for this week. But it's like the time I spent on that, like I was like, oh, I could have made a Decline song. I've got one ready. So it was a bit
Really? That's interesting, because I said something a few weeks ago to someone where they asked me in a podcast the other day, they asked me if I want to write intention of doing solo stuff. And this is a guy who used to be in a band. He's now doing solo stuff, so he's really pushing that sort of that direction. And I'm like, no, I would be doing an injustice to my band, who I'm writing very poorly for at the moment. If I was to do my own songs, it'd be like a middle finger to my own band.
Right.
So yeah, I have those thoughts as well, that it's just like, man, I could have been doing my own band song as opposed to dicking around trying to self-indulge.
Well, so what I did to make up for it is yesterday morning before work, I quickly did drums for a 30-second song. And then when I got home, I quickly did guitar and bass, and I started trying to do like a vocal take, and I thought, oh, this is going to be no good if I just rush it. I'll just wait. Yeah.
Is that going to be the same intention as like an album, whereas you want to do the 30-second song album would need to be like 30 songs, right? So do you have to then write 60 30-second songs?
Yeah, I'm not sure, hey.
So you don't get hung up too much on if the 30-second song is bad, because when you generally write normal songs, you're happy to write normal songs that are bad for a while, and then you work out if you're going to shelve them or like continue on with them. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. The 30-second ones, it's cool because usually there's maybe like 4 ideas in a song anyway, and you repeat a couple of them as like a chorus and a verse, and then it makes a full song.
Yeah.
So with the 30-second one, it's just you like strip it all back. Usually they end up being about 45 seconds, but I don't know.
That's Decline, right? You can do that for Decline. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it's not like a project we've like agreed upon, but I do write like a lot of quick little songs, and I sort of started thinking if I group all of these ones together and I focus on then grouping all the proper length ones together, maybe there could be 2 different things we could do. Yeah.
There is a short. Is there a couple of really short songs like that on your latest album? Because you guys only put out an album, was it 6 months ago?
Yeah, about 6 months ago we did Flash Gordon Ramsay Street. And there are quite a few short songs on it. There's a song called Smashed Avo, which is like a regular length short song. It's about 40 seconds long. And there's The More You Know as well, which is the same, about that length. Then there's 2 that are 5 seconds, but they're just kind of joke songs.
Yeah, 5 seconds.
Yeah, they have the same lyrics, which was just like a word play of the title, Flash Gordon Ramsay Street Fighter Pilot. Like we just kept going with it.
Yeah.
And we did one of them really heavy, just one note, over like sort of like a breakdown. And we did one that had like 9 different chords in it in 5 seconds.
You that album, you tracked that. That's all sort of did that locally.
Yeah, we did that at Underground Studios with Mark and Brody. It was fucking awesome working with them.
You did it, and you did a single or a couple of singles. Oh, it seems like not that long ago, but it was probably a while ago because I remember listening to them while I was on tour, and that was 2017. So you did a single with at that studio maybe 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And then before that was obviously another album. For me, it feels like you've been putting out albums like quite regularly, but I guess I don't know. It's like just like any other band. It's every couple of years.
I think it's every 4 years for albums with us. It seems we're on like a 4-year album cycle because there was 4 between Are You Gonna Eat That and Resistor, and another 4 between Resistor and Flash Gordon Ramsay Street. But yeah, you're right. We did the single called Can't Have Both. Yeah, with Mark and Brody, and we wrote that pretty soon after we released Resistor. And that one just sort of came about naturally because Ray bought like the riffs to practice one day.
Yeah.
And that we sometimes write that way where someone brings a riff to the practice room, but mostly I just write at home and then demo it and then send everyone the demo and say, oh, can you please learn this?
Yeah.
But that was the first full song we had, and Harry was like, we should try and record with Mark and Brody, and we've got this one song, let's go do a single.
And yeah, it sounded really good.
Yeah, we were really happy with it. So we went back the next year and we did like an EP's worth of songs, but we put them on different releases.
Okay.
So there's a split with Local Resident Failure.
Yep.
There's some other stuff like we were meant to do another split, but it sort of fell through, and then just some of those songs ended up on the singles of the Flash Gordon Ramsay Street. Like we did a single for the song Verge Collection, and that had a song called Fast Food on it.
Yep.
That we recorded with Mark and Brody, and then we did a single for War, the song War.
Yeah.
And it had a song called Beat the Clock that we did in the same session. So we're still kind of using these ones.
Yeah, well, I think that's what made me think at the time, man, these guys just got songs coming out of their butts, because with that album, I knew that every single you released had a B-side that wasn't on that album. I'm like, how many songs did they have and record for this album? That was really cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty of an old school thing to do.
Yeah, I always want to do like at least one extra song, so maybe in a couple of years we could release a B-sides album.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that's definitely going away from music just because of, technology and how bands just they go in, they record, and that's that. And there's not much tradition left in. Well, there's its own tradition. Like what's happening now is going to be very traditional for this period. But yeah, I used to love the whole. A lot of bands I used to listen to, the B-sides would be like, you'd scratch your head and go, "Why wasn't that on the album? It's so good."
Yeah.
And then B-sides album would come out after like 4 albums. They'd put out a B-sides album.
That No Effects B-sides album.
Yeah.
The 45 or 46 songs is really good.
Yeah. So yeah, influence-wise, No Effects, obviously big influence.
Yeah.
Heaps of that skate punk, 90s, early 90s skate punk.
Yeah, I love all of that stuff, particularly No Effects. I listen to a lot of No Effects still.
Yeah.
I've been listening to them for, over 15 years.
Those sorts of bands that were big back then and are still putting out albums now, they're still good albums. It's all still good. Do bands like that influence you as much anymore? Do you feel like a band that puts out an album and you're just like, man, this has got me riled up to go write some songs? I was thinking about it today. I was like, a lot of these old school bands, they still put out a really good album, but because they're not as influential as a band now, I enjoy it, and I'm still looking for another. I mean, I listen to a lot. You probably listen to a lot of different music as well, like genre-wise. I get influenced by different genres. Like I go through like, I was into punk for a long time, and I still really love punk. But then I was like, I'm influenced by a lot of different stuff that's coming out. But yeah. I don't know. Like when the Descendants put out Hypercaffeum Spasonate a couple of years ago, I definitely wanted to go write a bunch of songs after listening to that. Cool.
But I suppose some of the newer bands, I guess, is what really inspires me. Like Green Star by Pears, when that came out. Yep. That I got to play in Pears for their Australian tour because their bass player couldn't come. And that sort of like learning to play that style of like a bit heavier punk and a bit more dissonant and a bit more erratic sort of influenced my writing a lot, which was cool. And I don't know, I also listen to like a lot of like Jeff Rosenstock and the Wonder Years and that sort of stuff I think influenced the last 2 records.
Cool. That's exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of... You probably get. I used to get this. Like you only have to walk in here and you see like all the posters that I've put up, which is a lot of bands that influence me, and people all the time just assume that like that's all I listen to.
Yeah, just punk.
Oh, you wouldn't like this because you just like punk. It's like, no, I don't. Like I listen to I don't recall the last time I've had like a punk binge. Like most of the time now, it's like I'm desperate for something else. But it's amazing how you do get into other stuff and it influences you.
Yeah, for sure. I remember it was like a very long time ago when I was in school. One of my like really good mates who sort of was around when I was learning guitar and discovering music was like, if you just listen to No Effects and Millencolin, you're only ever going to write stuff that sort of sounds like a watered down version of that.
Yep.
So listen to Metallica. and like listen to Blood Sugar Sex Magic by Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah,
and that sort of thing, just so you get that diversity of writing, and you can bring it back into the punk stuff you're writing.
Yep.
And I've always tried to do that, and the failure of it is I've never really been able to write super riffy stuff because I've never really gotten into like that much metal or kind of more technical.
So is it all based on just rhythm that will help you write the song? Because that's where you mentioned before, like you a lot of your band members will bring a different song to the table because they're all, even though you've got a bass player, he can play.
He plays drums and guitar, yeah.
And they all just bring this thing in, and eventually all the songs turn out, different person started writing a different song. I've always struggled with that in bands, where if I don't sit there with an acoustic guitar and write just the general vocal melody over a song, and then give it to a guitarist and say, I realise this is just a E, A, D, G song, make it better, and they generally do. But if they come to me and go, here's a song I wrote, and I listen to it and go, wow, that sounds really good, I cannot for the life of me write vocals to a song that someone else has written. I can, but more often than not, it's really difficult.
Yeah, I find that too. I think you have to start, well, for me, you have to start with the melody and the chords.
Yeah.
And build it from there rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
The same way you can't start with lyrics.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Well, yeah, I never. Oh, it's always dummy lyrics for me from the start.
Yeah, that's exactly how I do it.
Yeah, I do see a lot of people that I've had guys, because I'm a recording engineer, I have guys come to me rarely, but occasionally you get a guy come in and he'll come in with he'll ring up or email and say, I want to come in and record some songs I've written. And I said, yeah, cool, no worries. What are the elements? Like, are you a singer-songwriter? Have you got a backing track? Are you a band? Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, I've just got the song written. And I'm like, yeah, cool, so it's just you and an acoustic guitar. No, it's just that. And eventually, after me asking a billion questions to get to my answer, the answer is they've just written lyrics down.
Right.
They don't.
I was expecting the opposite. I was expecting that he'd recorded like every instrument, and he was just being vague about it.
Yeah. No. It's rare in this industry that you get people that have got their shit together. It's usually the other way around, where you have to, like, I know now I have to ask so many questions of potential clients. Otherwise, I get caught out by booking them, and they come in, and it's just train wreck city because it's just not a project that's close to being ready to be produced and recorded. So now I'm as much as I like business, now I'm really trying to qualify who I'm talking to.
What comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I write all my songs with an acoustic guitar, and the most important thing is the vocal melody.
Yeah.
But you come up with better lyrics.
Your music is very melodic, like that skate punk stuff. Your music you write is very melodic.
Yeah, that's always been the goal.
Yeah.
I just want the song to be good, and I think the most important thing is the tune that gets stuck in people's heads.
Yeah, I'm there. I agree with that, yeah.
Our first record wasn't super like that. I think back then I just cared about lyrics and like crazy fast stuff.
Sure.
And then once we actually went and recorded it, I sort of realised, we could be doing a lot more.
Yeah. I think anyone could hear that evolution if they listen to your back catalogue. Like heaps of bands. You definitely hear that evolution and of growing songwriting capabilities.
Yeah, I hope so.
I personally, the stuff that my bands, I say bands because I've been in 2 or 3 bands, have put out, like, you wouldn't be able to coax me into going back and listening to some of the stuff that I put out 7 or 8 years ago, because I was like, I really don't want to listen to how bad I was at writing songs 8 years ago.
Yeah, I find the same thing, and that's maybe the one thing that is my least favourite about the decline existing over such a long period of time, that all of my growth is public.
Yeah. You see that with some bands that put out really early stuff. And you're like, why can't we get this really early stuff online? And the band will come out publicly and say, because it is rubbish.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want that to exist.
Yeah, one of our early CDs is out of print, and I plan on keeping it that way for forever. But it's on Spotify, that one.
Okay.
And our first record, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't think I'll ever let that go out of print.
Yeah.
But we don't play a lot off it. And there's some of the songs where I listen to them and I think, oh God, this is 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
it's a long. Like, if I doing this now, I'd cut it down. Or
big time. There's those key elements that you always learn, and you're like engineers or I guess songwriters that have been around for a while will always tell you, like, don't make it longer than it has to be. You know, don't record the first. Don't write the same verse twice. Don't just little things that they don't put too much into the song. Oh, we could add a 15th guitar part here. No. Strip it back, and all that sort of. All these little things. It don't always work in every song, but there's the general rules of thumb.
I think some of them we wanted them to be longer, but Bill and Jason, who we were working with on the first record, were like, "This section is already a minute, Pat." That sort of thing.
Do you are you on a label for your last few albums? You've been on, is it P?
Yeah, we're on P Records.
Cool. Yeah, cool. That they do really cool things. We had I was in a band 3 or 4 years ago called Hostile Little Face. We're just like a alt rock sort of pop band, and we weren't on P, but we the guy from P did our album artwork.
Oh yeah,
that was wicked.
Yeah, he does a lot of art for us as well.
Yeah,
he did our Swan Draft parody shirt.
Yeah,
and our Vegemite shirt recently.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he did those. Pete's great.
Good to know.
I think he's done artwork for. I don't want to get it wrong because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that he did our split with Local Resident Failure, which is the two guys like about to have like a skate off.
Yeah,
if
right.
You will. Pete did that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we've worked with Pete for a really long time now. We've been on Pete for 9 years.
What does it, without going into like contractual details, what does an indie label mean these days? Because obviously you've got the whole being on a major label thing, which is a different beast altogether. You've got being an independent band completely in that nowadays everyone's an independent band because they just record their thing, put it on Spotify and fall into the darkness and they don't really go anywhere. What does an independent label sort of handle and do for you guys? Is it distribution?
Yeah, he handles distribution. So
have you gone physical on your I know you did on Resistor. Did you go physical on that one? Or just vinyls?
We did CD and vinyl of the new one as well.
And the new one. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. We're about to do a vinyl of I'm Not Gonna Lie to You as well.
Right.
The first record. That didn't come out on P, but he's reissuing it. He's re-releasing it for us, I think next month.
Cool.
I'm not sure.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so what Pete does for us is he just handles all of the distribution and like label stuff. So, he like Spotify, Apple Music, the CDs getting pressed, getting in stores.
That's so,
He just does everything. And it's quick as well because he's got that existing relationship with everyone who's involved in the process. So when we did that single for the song War, which we did as like a Christmas release, as a surprise thing, we had 3 songs and we were like, 2 of them were new and we just, put it out. It took like 5 days or something just to get it. We decided like, could we please have it on Spotify? Like on Christmas Eve, if Christmas Day is not possible. And Pete was like, I'll just talk to MGM, who are the distributors. And it just was like real quick because he's already got that chain there.
That's interesting because a lot of that nowadays that's called, or for a while there's it's all been separated out for a little while. You got servicing, you got distribution. I remember about 7 or 8 years ago, you could pay for servicing where they would do that sort of stuff where they would get your release to press companies to on the desk of radio stations and stuff. And then you had distribution, which was basically getting the physical thing into stores and putting it online. Nowadays, you get these essentially all-in-one companies that they're not labels like what you guys are on, but they effectively do a lot of that stuff. Like my band was on the cusp of going with one that gets you into like social media press and gets you into playlists on Spotify and whatnot. It's done stuff for local bands here that have had 100,000 streams in 4 or 5 months of their latest album or whatever. And it's like, whew. So and then I've heard in a podcast the other day, off camera, I was chatting to the guy and I heard a disaster story about a company that I almost went with at one point in time where they didn't do any of what they said they were going to do. So yeah, it's a weird sort of a situation, isn't it? Where you got to be sort of, you got to know, and that's cool how you've got that great relationship for years now with your guy. Yeah.
So I think that so Pete will get us, like we'll do the stuff like dealing with MGM for getting us on Spotify. Like they do it because they're the distributor. But then once that's like scheduled, the Spotify release, MGM go in and they submit us for playlists.
Right.
But we can do that ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Or if we're working with like a PR person, they can do that.
Yeah.
So
we're completely independent, my current band, and we got a bit stooged like recently. Not stooged, but it was our own fault. We about to put out a single and we put it up on Spotify. And then we took it down straight away because we realised we had to set a release date. Like we had to push back and set a release date in order to apply for spot lists, for playlists.
Yeah, that's right.
So what we did is we took it down same day. No one had listened to it. We uploaded it again, a different master. So we actually changed a few things in the song. Uploaded it again the following day, but set a release date. We paid an extra amount to get our distribution. The distro we use, you have to pay a little bit extra to be able to set release dates. So we did all that, set the release date, applied for playlists through Spotify, and they said that track's already been live on Spotify, so you can't. I said, and we tried to explain that no, it hadn't, but we had already technically put it up. So that so now we're just putting the song out and hoping it'll get listened to tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, I hope it goes well.
Yeah,
that's annoying. Like the rules of it.
But that's the thing. The rules of it are the same as the whole people getting called out by dodgy promo companies or people having great success with good promo companies. Is that it's just the industry. Like because there's so many people trying to get to where they want to be. There's just rules you've got to follow. It's pretty unlikely that Spotify or those sorts of companies were ever going to be a company that were like, oh, that happened. Okay, sure, no worries. We'll just chuck in a playlist. Cheers, guys. Have a good weekend. Yeah. It's just, stuff is bigger than individual bands. Yeah.
That's super annoying. When we did that single for the song War in December.
Yeah.
So what happened was I was just thinking, cool, we'll be able to get War on a playlist now. It's a pretty good song. Nuno from A Wilhelm Scream sang on it. So I was thinking this is going to be really good. Like it's one of the songs I like a lot off Flash Gordon Ramsay Street. But when I went to submit it, they said that we couldn't because it was already on Flash Gordon Ramsay Street and it was already out. So we weren't able to submit it. So I submitted the B-side, which is this song called Beat the Clock, which is like one of my favourite Decline songs. And I wrote it like very soon before we went and recorded that split for Local Resident Failure that we did. So we just ended up recording it because I was like, I got this song that I really like. I was really excited about it. But I sort of wish I'd saved it and had it go on the album.
Okay.
So it was pretty cool that it ended up on playlists as a B-side.
Well,
it's like our third highest play on Spotify.
I'm sure I heard it there and not necessarily on the War single. So what I did was I was listening to a playlist here one day and I'm fairly certain that it came on. I was like, that's the Decline. I was like, what's going on here? And I went and looked at my phone. I was like, and it had the same artwork as the album artwork, sort of based artwork. I'm like, and I'd listened to the album like weeks before, like a bunch of times. I'm like, I've never heard this song before. This wasn't on that album. And now that explains a lot. It's the B-side to War that was on this playlist. So I heard it popped up on a playlist for me.
That's cool.
It was a Spotify. It was like a new punk tracks playlist or something like that. Spotify's new punk thing. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, back to what we were talking about with songwriting. That one's a really good example because it's one of the like simplest melodies that I've done, but there's like a lot going on chords wise.
Yeah,
I think that song's got like 12 chords in it or something,
really?
And it's like for a song that's like a minute and a half long.
Yeah,
and so like that was a lot of fun to write because I was trying to really push like what we could do, and still make it sound like. If you were listening to it, that it was just like a really straight melodic song. Yeah.
Is that the title Beat the Clock? Does that refer to how you had to get the song done in a minute and a half?
Well, I thought it would be fun to like have the title sort of be an onomatopoeia for what the song was like a really fast, punchy song that's a bit all over the place, but still melodically really straight.
Yeah.
It's a song about like trying to drive somewhere. It's like a love song about driving around to someone's house really quick.
Yeah, right.
Trying to beat your time.
Oh, right.
Because you can't wait to see them.
It's like that meme. There's like a meme like my parents are out or something like, oh, come over. No, I can't, blah, blah, blah. And it's like my parents are out of town. And then I don't know what the meme
2
is,
seconds later, that sort of thing.
I'm way too old to understand.
Memes.
Speaking of age, I remember bumping into you before we knew each other through actual being in bands. I'd see you at shows like man, it feels like so long ago now, over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
There'd be Pat walking around at the show. Like, it'd be punk shows, but like Metros and the two different Metros and Rosemount and places like that.
Yeah.
Do you still get really excited? Do you go to as many shows, international bands, as you maybe did 10 so years ago? I'm different in that I don't, but it's because I'm, I guess I'm busy in other senses, whereas I think you being in a very active band, do you still go to a lot of shows?
Yeah, I still go to, like, every time a band that I love from when I was a kid, like Pennywise, comes, I always go. But local shows, I don't go to as many, and I want to change that.
Yeah.
I want to get back into the local scene. Like, the thing that we didn't envision when the Decline started touring internationally a lot was how there's, like, when we were away for such a long time, that the scene would kind of progress without us.
Okay.
And then we weren't playing as many shows when we were back in Perth because, well, we were tired or we were trying to not overplay.
Right. So you felt like what's the word? So you disengaged with. So you'd go away and you'd be playing shows, but you'd be playing them overseas, and you'd come back and you wouldn't necessarily fit with. You still played a lot of shows here, though, right? You still do, or
not? Yeah, I guess not for any negative
Supports.
reason that we didn't fit, but there just seemed to, like, be new stuff come up, and you're away, so you miss it. And
yeah.
I recently went to watch a band called Nervous Now.
Yep.
And they're just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They're so good. And I've known, like, a couple of the guys in that band for years, but it's just like, I don't know, I was doing other shit, and then I came back to Perth, and now there's this band that some of my friends are in.
Yep.
And they're wicked, and they've got all these other bands. It's like a big crew of them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I missed all of this because I was...
Missed a bit of a movement. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's probably a natural thing that happens when you start doing a lot of stuff elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then there's also the other thing of, like, coming back and, like, working a lot of shifts and then being exhausted from being away, so you don't go to as many things.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have you still have you don't have that lack of responsibility you had when you were 19, whereas now you've got this sort of, you can't necessarily, go to 5 shows a week and drink and...
Yeah, the anything goes aspect of it, I guess, is gone a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to go to a lot of shows when I was really young as well. I think we probably first met almost 10 years ago when you were playing in Mattersville.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what, but I know that I was doing some work for the Pit FM, and you guys were connected with them somehow, and I think that's how we met. Yeah. But I think we also probably played shows together at one point.
I think we might have done one. I can't even remember what it was. But Mattersville. So here's the sad thing: is Mattersville. We were a basket case. We didn't play many shows because the whole band was effectively, I guess, organisation wise, was me. So it was the guys were just sort of not as into it or not as organised as myself. So a lot of the time, I would literally supply backline for my own band. Like it'd be my stuff that I would, as the singer, would take to gigs for the band. One
of the guys is an MC now, right?
Yeah, so our old one of our old bass players from Mattersville, Stian, he's an MC that's doing pretty well right now. He's playing clubs and putting out his own stuff. And when he first started out, it was pretty funny. It was like almost like sort of comical, and he got good pretty quick. And now he's doing really well. But he was one that was you could tell even in the band. He was in hardcore bands at the time. He was in our band, and then you could just tell he was not quite into what we were doing. And that was
good on him.
Good on him. And ultimately, that was the downfall of that band. Me pulling the pin, going, right, I'm sick of we've just been a band for 7 years and played probably 20 shows.
Yeah, wow.
In 7 years, and recorded some albums, but. Yeah, so the last EP we recorded when we broke up was my favourite thing. It's the only thing I'll go back and listen to, and that's kind of bums me out that we ended on something that we were finally getting to where I wanted us to be. It was way more punk. It was way more just, I don't know, better songs. But yeah. So as far as bands and whatnot, you said you do overseas a lot. You guys do, and I'm jealous and I know I'm envious, but I know it comes through hard work and commitment. How many countries do you guys have played? The world. I remember being on my honeymoon 3 or 4 years ago and looking at your tour, and I was in Italy, and I was like, oh my god, the Decline are playing a city an hour away from me right now.
Oh, that's crazy.
If it wasn't my honeymoon, I was like, I could go to that. They'd be amazed to see me there. And I was like, no, it's a crazy idea.
We would have been.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, 4 years ago, I think we were in Italy for 2 shows, and the first one was in Livigno or Livorno.
This city started with M. I think it was like Medina or
oh, yeah. That was the next night. They were cool shows. The one in Medina.
Is that what it's called, the place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where balsamic vinegar comes from. Maybe balsamic vinegar of Modena.
Yeah, right.
Of Modena.
Yeah, right.
I think. That one we played it was like an American-style diner.
Yep.
And they had really good food, but we just played outside in this amphitheatre, and it was just like a free gig.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure that's where that was. And the night before was sort of like a bit of a punk squat.
Yeah.
This big old building with just like, a room with like 20 mattresses in it where us and the support band slept, and It was like the venue. It was like a really like punk venue. It was cool.
Yeah.
Like graffiti everywhere, and like a big dark room, and then this beautiful outdoor area, and there's a couple of cats sort of hanging out.
How is the graffiti everywhere over there? It amazed me over in
a lot of anti-fascist stuff in Italy.
They're copping it. They're copping it right now, obviously for obvious reasons. But you guys have tours that you were sort of going on coming up that you're not going on?
Yeah, we were meant to leave next week. We were doing just a European tour. It was a quick one. We're going to be doing like a couple of festivals. We had a festival in England, Manchester Punk Fest, that some friends of ours run every year, and we had Sabam Fest in Austria.
Yeah.
Which was I was really excited about that because the Vandals were playing and Frank Turner, and there was a festival in France as well, and one in Belgium.
Yeah.
So I guess I was quite disappointed that it got cancelled.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't really get excited about tours till I get on the plane.
Right.
I get really stressed in the lead up to them, so I didn't have time to be excited about it yet.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of time to be disappointed since.
Big time. And I think hopefully it's just a waiting game. Hopefully it's not going to be, the world kicks back into gear and live music takes a long time to get back to where it was. I think everyone's in any industry is so excited about getting back into stuff. So hopefully all that, or most of that stuff will happen again. Yeah,
we've got a second one booked in August. We were planning on going over twice, but so the second one in August is still going ahead at this stage.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping everything clears up.
Yeah, that's 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one's going to be like really cool. We're doing a show in Paris on a boat, like a festival on a boat, and we're going to be doing
not a cruise ship, I hope.
No, just like a little in the harbour.
Yeah.
If there's a harbour in Paris, I'm just guessing. It's called Paris Punk Rock Summer.
Yeah, right. And like a barge or something?
I think something like that, yeah. Like Anti-Flag are playing and
wicked.
The band,
did you hear their latest album?
Yeah, how good was it?
I was like, I heard a single, I was like, and then I heard the album, and I was like, because I like Anti-Flag. Haven't sort of like stuck with them for the last probably 2 or 3 albums, but I listened to that new album and I was blown away. It was obviously I like really poppy, I like really polished stuff. That's my thing, and it was super well produced.
Yeah,
but the songs were good,
super good. Yeah, Anti-Flag was a band I grew up with that I really, really loved and connected with, but I just moved away from them a little bit when I was an adult. And like you said, I didn't stick with them for the past couple of records. Yeah. No particular reason why, because I've always really respected the vision of Anti-Flag and the ideas behind it, behind what they do. And they're like an awesome live band.
Did it get you to go back and this latest one? Did it get you to go back and listen to the last few? Because that's what it did for me. And they were also good albums. And sometimes you feel bad when you're like, I shouldn't have stopped listening to this band.
It did a bit. I bought 2020 Vision. I've listened to it heaps. It's probably the record I've listened to most this year.
Yeah.
But I also I bought American Spring and the General Strike as well.
Yeah.
I didn't just like sometimes I buy records and I just listen to a couple of songs and then move on to something else. And that's what happened with those ones. Like This Is a New Sound. It's a great song of General Strike. And the song Brandenburg Gate off American Spring.
Okay.
That song, like, it's just like an all-time song. It's got Tim Armstrong doing guest vocals.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It sort of sounds like very Clash-inspired.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good song. So I did go back and listen to those records a bit more after checking out 2020 Vision.
What are you listening to at the moment?
The new Pears record's awesome. Mm-hmm. The new Foley is awesome.
Okay.
I've been listening to the new singles by the Smith Street Band as well.
Right.
The Alkaline Trio didn't like a little EP.
Yep.
There was one more. It's like I don't know. There's one other album I got recently. I'm going to look through my notes.
I did listen to that Alkaline Trio EP. Do you think that was forced out by the everyone being in their houses?
It might have been that, but it also could have been something that they just had sitting there and they decided decided they would go and do.
Yeah.
I make notes on like what I'm listening to and stuff. It's really.
I'm a huge Alkaline Trio fan. You're a big.
Yeah, I love them. I guess I connected mostly with like sort of God Damn It and some of their older records like Good Morning's really good. But I like This Thing Cursed. Yeah. There's a song called A Little Help off that, which is like really, really poppy, like dance song. And
Yeah, I love that. That you mentioned Good Morning. That was a Jerry Finn record that came out in 2003. And in 2003, Jerry Finn was involved with the self-titled Blink album, Good Morning, and Sing the Sorrow by AFI.
Is he the guy who died?
He did. He passed away. But being the fact that he was involved in probably 3 of my top albums of all time, and they all happened to come out in the same year, it was just, the dude was pretty good.
There was some really like defining sort of stuff for those couple of years in the mid-2000s, like For Blood and Empire by Anti-Flag and Suffer and the Witness by Rise Against, December Underground by AFI all came out in the same year. Yeah. And Black Parade. Yeah. All came out in the same year.
I think I had a chat with, I love all that stuff as well, and I think it's interesting that there's probably good albums that come out every year. For me, 2003 is just this strange year. It's the year I graduated high school, right? So that was when you're like...
It's the year I started high school.
Was it really?
Yeah.
You started high school in 2003? Yeah, right. Young blood.
It was Suicide Machines was the other record I've been listening to.
Yeah, right.
And High Time have an EP as well.
Yeah, right.
So that's what. Sorry,
I did. Suicide Machines' new song came up on the playlist that I heard you guys on the other day. So yeah,
that's cool.
I'll check that out. I'll check the new Pears stuff out because you speak pretty highly of those guys. I have to check that out.
Yeah, the Pears one's great. It's really heavy. Yeah, the musicianship is awesome. They just really, really know what they're doing.
I like it. Can be that they sing. It's melodic though, right? Vocally.
Some of it's melodic, some of it's like shouty, growly.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll listen to something as heavy as heavy can be. I'll backtrack there. I just like stuff that's got a bit of dynamic to it. So if it's metal, it's like heavy and it's like metal, it's probably not going to get me. But if it's heavy and it's like even punk stuff that was heavy, like what was that heavy punk band that's probably not going to be considered heavy at all? Stretch Armstrong. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I've never listened to much of them, but I know that they are a band.
It was like early, like it was before like that easy core thing was a thing. You know how A Day to Remember?
The easy core, yeah.
That sort of stuff. It was well before then. It's like a boss. I think they're a New York, like a punk, a poppy, like a hardcore band.
Like a posy sort of, like a bouncy, sort of punk band.
No, more of a like a dirty sort of a New York punk with but with more modern sort of double kick, sort of like chuggy riff sort of thing, like that A Day to Remember thing.
Right.
But
that's cool.
I remember that was sort of 10, 15 years ago. That was the heaviest stuff I was willing to let myself get into. Other than that, I was just like, pop punk or skate punk or...
Yeah. I don't go too heavy. Pears is probably one of the heavier bands I like, really. Yeah. I like Frank Carter and Gallows. Yeah, okay. That sort of thing.
Yep. So that's got dynamic. That's the thing. It's not A lot of the heavy stuff you hear come out nowadays, like I'm talking death metal. I could never listen to death metal. No offense to anyone that does.
Yeah, no offense. I recorded a death metal song recently for someone I work with.
Yeah.
In disability.
For them?
Yeah, well.
Do they listen to death metal? Did they listen to it and go, yeah, this ain't death metal?
No, it was more, I guess that this guy, he more likes deathcore. Like his favourite bands are Chelsea Grin and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, he really liked it. I sort of had to guess my way through how the drums and the guitar and the bass were going to go, and he did vocals.
Oh, cool.
So he's got his own death metal song that I helped him do.
That's so cool.
So I want to give it to an outside audience to see if someone else will say whether it counts as deathcore.
Yeah,
it was fun recording it.
Yeah,
like
you just do it at home.
At his house for where he lives and where I go to work with him.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. I just sort of picked a little riff that I thought could sound like it was in.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? I've never really listened to that much sort of stuff, but in about 2005, like I got pretty into like The Used and some of those like screamo bands. So I sort of just picked a riff that I thought would sound good in one of those, and then I just added lots of like funny kick patterns to it and did heaps of chugs.
Yeah.
I use Logic as this really simple recording program, and it comes with a bunch of amp settings.
Yeah,
There's an amp called Turbo Metal, which sounds like absolutely filthy and awful, and I just picked that for it.
It's what it's made for.
Yeah, and he loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did all. I got him to write the lyrics. He's got a lot of ideas floating around, but the sort of guy who like really needs a bit of support to just focus them on one thing. So I was like, I'm going to make drums. You go and you think of all the lyrics you've been sort of telling me you have for a couple of months, and go and send them to me.
Yeah.
And then I'll sort of, you come in here, I'll play the guitar and you can tell me how you want the guitars to sound.
Yeah.
And then once we've done that, you can do some screaming.
That's so cool, man. That sounds like both parties wanted to get that thing done. Like music's not a chore. Like it's that's really cool.
Yeah, so I think we're going to go for round 2 this Saturday.
Yeah, you'll have but by the time as everything's back to normal, he'll have an album to release.
Yeah, well, he really, really wants to be in a band,
Yeah.
and I'd love to help him make it happen.
Yeah.
Just to give a bit of context to it, so I do disability and mental health support work.
Yeah.
As my real job on the side of being in the decline.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it for about 8 years. I love it.
Cool.
So I work with more intellectual disabilities than physical.
Sure.
And then people who don't have disabilities but have an illness like schizophrenia or something like that. And some of the people I support live in homes where we provide 24-hour support, and some of them live independently in the community.
Sure.
And we just drop in.
Sure. So that's what I was going to ask, because I know you've got to shoot off to work soon, and I've actually seen you around here before. So you do a lot of stuff where you don't go to a facility and that's your job. You do a lot of stuff where you're shooting around to different places and based in different places for your work.
Yeah. So today I'll be just working out in the community with some guys who have like some form of mental health diagnosis, and they all live in their own homes, and and we just go in and.
So there's a big scale of the severity of a lot of this stuff. Whereas if they're living in their own home and you drop in, and then there's others, like you said, is 24-hour.
Yeah.
Someone will be with them, not someone, but
one of us.
Changes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually am around this area, around your studio, quite a bit because I have a few clients around here.
Yeah. There is a I think it's a brain injury centre just behind us here, and they've come in here and done a little bit of stuff. There's one of the clients there. Curtis comes down here a bit and sits in a room and plays guitar and records himself through a little 2-track player. And I've always thought that music would be not the be all end all, but music could help with not recovery, but at least it's something to engage people.
That's definitely right. Like I think it can help with recovery.
Yeah.
I've worked with someone who was at that brain injury centre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
That's around here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I remember I've had emails and I've been in touch with a bunch of people that do your line of work, and just to see if there was anything we could sort of do here to just, you know, help that out. And a lot of the time it pans out. Some of the times it doesn't, because you got to realise that they need carers to be able to be with them, and funding needs to be there for them to have that care and whatnot. So, do you think funding and all that is what are the gripes of your industry? Is there more stuff that needs to sort of happen? Is that a silly question? Because like in any industry, I was like, of course there is.
It's not a silly question. There are some things with funding that could be a bit better.
Yeah.
The NDIS has come in, and some people who used to have not very much have got some funding now, and there's some people who used to have heaps have a bit less, and so it's affecting everyone differently. And
it's got to be taken away from somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, and the rollout in WA of NDIS is fairly new, so they
did a booked a seminar just here in our venue a little while back. So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And like some of, I don't know, like it's a thing that you just have to see how it goes, and then hopefully make adjustments.
Cool. So your work life balance is pretty good at the moment. You're happy with what's happening musically and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm definitely, like, I love my job and I love getting to do stuff with the Decline. At the moment, Decline's cool. a bit quiet because of, I guess, like the global situation, but it's giving me opportunities to write lots of songs and do a lot of live streaming gigs.
Cool. That's awesome. Definitely keep up on that. This is what we're doing here right now, is kind of my little thing that I've been doing during the shutdown, because I've got a massive studio here and I'm not allowed to do a whole lot else.
Yeah.
And even at home, I've got a 2-year-old that I'm equal parts involved with looking after, so I can't, sort of come here and do too much other than these. So we've all got to find stuff to be as productive as possible during these times. But that's cool. It's good to know that you still that you found a silver lining in not being able to tour and just writing this 30-second song album and the Songwriter Club thing. That's cool.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm gonna keep doing it. I don't know what the next assignment on the Song Club is.
Yeah,
but I've got lots of Decline stuff written in my head that I've got to get down into a demo form as well.
Sweet. Well, if someone was to listen to Decline right now, what are they going out and listening to? Obviously, the new album.
Yeah, I would love everyone to check out Flash Gordon Ramsay Street if they haven't already. I think it's our best album we've ever done. I love it. I still listen to it a little bit because I sometimes have to be like, oh, what's my part here? I have to go back and relearn stuff. Yeah. Stuff that you do in the studio just as like a drop of a hat, like try this, Pat, and then it ends up on the record and you think, oh, fuck, what was it again?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But that's what I reckon you should check out. My favourite songs are the song Real Again, the song Don't Jump a Gift Shark in the Mouth.
Yeah.
It Was Always You, Josh, Changing My Shoes, just to name a couple of the ones I think are really good on there.
Cool. Check those out. We're going to put a link. We'll put some links to the to that in the at the bottom of this podcast. Spotify that or
Spotify.
Do you guys have a website?
thedeclinemusic.com is the website. You'll also be able to find us on Facebook or Bandcamp. I'm pretty sure if you just Google The Decline Facebook or Bandcamp or Spotify, you'll probably be able to be linked into it.
Cool. Everyone jump on there and buy a Vegemite shirt or something like that.
We've still got some of the Prime Minister in a Hawaiian shirt on fire as well.
Yes. Cool. Pat from The Decline, thanks so much for coming in, man.
No worries.
It's been awesome.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Sweet.